Hello everyone, my name is Shukri Aden. Welcome to our show. I'm here with Lisa, a dietitian. This show is about health and wellness. It's not a medical show. We'd like to introduce all new immigrants that are in the United States to our show. It's a Bridging the Gap show about health and wellness. We come from Africa and different places, and we have different foods, and we'd like to be able to eat those foods in a healthy manner. And now I'd like to introduce Lisa. She's our dietitian, and she can explain further kind of the mission of this show, which is to help people to empower themselves through their health and wellness. Thank you. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, thank you.
How are you this evening?
I am great. Thank you for having me on this show. It's just so exciting to reach out to other communities and be able to share my knowledge and my passion for nutrition and wellness. As you've said, I'm a registered dietitian and licensed in the state of Minnesota. I currently work at a hospital here, and I'm primarily focused on helping people lose weight, whether they're born and raised in America or they came from somewhere else as well. It's all been a wonderful journey. And so basically I work with overweight and obesity people to help them lose weight in a natural way with moderation and how they should eat differently.
Thank you. That's the key thing for this show, is that we want to do it in a natural way, and we'd like people to help themselves learn better techniques to improve their health. So Lisa, can you tell me that this is a problem that's not just for new immigrants, that it's an issue maybe for everyone that lives here right now?
Yes, I think it absolutely is an issue for everyone. We have food at every corner, every turn that you look at around the city. We drive in our cars, we sit all day at work or at home, and so there's not a whole lot of activity for the amount of food many of us are eating. I've once heard that every day we make over 200 food decisions. Wow. And at first thought, I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. But then when I thought about it more, it does. You wake up in the morning, you ask yourself breakfast or no breakfast, a bagel or toast, or in the car or here at home. So there's all these decisions throughout the day we go through, and that leaves a lot of opportunity to make either a good decision or one that won't be as good to help towards your health.
It's great to hear that that's an issue for everyone, because maybe it makes everyone feel comfortable.
Yes.
I think in our community and in most communities of color, that people that come to the United States, we have difficulty making choices about what to buy, what's healthy and what's not, and sometimes we don't know, so those mistakes are made just because of lack of knowledge. So what are you licensed at exactly? What's your licensure about?
Yes, yep. So as a registered dietitian, I'm registered throughout the entire country, that I could practice in any state, and that basically means I'm a food and nutrition expert, is kind of how my foundation calls it. And then for the state of Minnesota, they require an extra licensure to practice, and so I'm also licensed in Minnesota.
How long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing for almost 3 years now.
Excellent. Okay, what are some of the things that are very basic that someone might say, okay, that's not a big change, a very small change that they can make on a daily basis? What would you suggest?
Sure.
When you see a patient for the first time, or a client comes to you, are they usually referred by a doctor?
Yes, many times they are referred to by a doctor.
Okay.
I do have the occasional person who just knows that they're ready to take that next step and need help finding out where they need to start, because they want to lose this weight, but they have no clue where to start, because you hear all these things on TV or can look on the internet, and how do you sift through that?
Exactly. So people can come to you. Let's say someone's not referred by their doctor but wants to improve their lives. They can come to you and you can help them design a menu, design a better lifestyle, a long-term process for them to be healthier. I think not just losing weight, but to live a holistic life.
Absolutely. You kind of hit that right on the nail. How I like to practice is making lifestyle changes. So there's not a start and an end to this diet. It's something that you can incorporate into your daily life to keep the weight off and continue to be healthy.
Excellent. What are some of the suggestions that you give, that something small someone can start with? This is a life passion for me.
Sure.
And I'm always making good decisions about what to buy and what not to buy. But there's some things that, just because of habit, people don't want to cut sugar, for example, which is a big deal. in our community, and we have a lot of issues with diabetes and blood pressure because we don't really know. For example, what's a portion? What would you suggest? Are these some of the things that you brought with you?
Yes, I did bring some little tools, visuals to bring along just to show what I'm talking about.
Could you go ahead and show us some of the things that you brought?
Yes, when you first mentioned about sugar,
Yes.
that is one of the first things I typically check in with people. Biggest sources of sugar in many of our diets,
Yes.
our lifestyles, is soda.
Okay.
So I brought a typical Sprite.
Yep.
You can see this anywhere, whether it's Sprite, Coke, whatever it is. Has about 64 grams of sugar.
And what does that mean? Like how many, could you go a little bit further and tell us what 64 grams of sugar is?
Exactly. Heart Association recommends that women limit their sugar intake to only 7 of these a day.
And how many are in here?
11 to 12.
So just by drinking one soda, you have gone over the recommended number by about 4 teaspoons.
Yes.
So
yes.
that in itself is just news to me. And I have been someone that's been watching my weight and eating well. So by the time you've drank a bottle of pop, you can't have any more sugar for the rest of the day, typically.
Exactly.
But that doesn't happen.
It doesn't. And
Okay.
men, they have a little more allowance.
Okay.
That same American Heart Association recommends 9 teaspoons.
Okay.
But still, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
with this one bottle of pop, it goes over that.
Yes.
So we can see how diabetes just rapidly has grown throughout the country because people, it's hard to put that connection together where sugar is coming from, how much is it,
Yes.
and how excessive it might be.
What's that, a teaspoon or a tablespoon?
This is a teaspoon.
And how many spoons did you say should be in here? 7?
7.
So there's 11 of those in that?
Correct.
Okay, so that's important that we hear those things because people don't think about them. They just get a bottle of pop. They're thirsty, and there's a vending machine, so they just get that, and those are some of the issues that people don't know about. If it's news to me,
Yeah.
I'm wondering about all the other people that don't know about that.
Well,
What else did you bring with you?
Well, and that's exactly because that's not our only source of sugar through
Yes.
the day, too.
Yeah.
It might be whether you get a smoothie I brought as well.
Which seems very healthy to most people. They would assume that that's a very healthy drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that can be a source.
Yes.
Any sugar you might be adding to tea or coffee, that's also that same measurement.
Yeah.
So I usually recommend that when people do like to add sugar to their coffee or tea, literally take out a teaspoon measuring spoon from
Okay.
your drawers at home
And measure.
and measure it out. Otherwise, you have no idea how much is going in there.
Great. What are the labelings? Let's say for the soda or the juice. Could you explain a little bit about the labeling? Because when I first came to the United States, I would see people pull a bottle and look at it, and I never really knew what they were looking at.
Sure.
So it took me time to figure out that people were counting calories, how much I mean, could you explain what reading the label is all about? Just
Yes.
really fundamentally for people to understand.
Absolutely. Reading that label can help you learn kind of what the makeup of that food is like.
Okay.
And there's certain things on the label that you want more of and certain things you want less of.
Okay.
With the label, there'll be right on, it'll say nutrition facts on there.
Is that they have to have it, or is that a choice for companies to put it on?
Any packaged food has to have it.
Okay, so people should be able to look at that and make some good decisions about whether to buy the product or not.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So fruits and vegetables won't have it because that's just fresh.
Yes.
But one of the biggest things I recommend people look at first on this label
Yes.
is a serving size.
Okay.
And
What's
then-
a serving size?
Exactly. It's going to be different for every product you're looking at.
Okay.
So that's number one to look at. And then
Okay.
ask how many servings are there per container.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
the key. So in this smoothie, there's one serving is 8 ounces.
Okay.
But servings per container are 2.
So that's 2 servings.
That means if you drink this whole thing, all this information on here needs to be doubled.
Oh my goodness.
Does
so
that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, but it's also very hidden because you will think that that's one serving because it's in one bottle.
Exactly.
So the idea for the manufacturers is to double, they put it in for one, but it really means for double. So you should double everything on there.
Not quite everything. It
Okay.
depends what product it is.
Okay.
Let's see. Do I have one that has... So I have a box of pasta, too.
Okay.
This serving size is a half of a cup.
Okay.
And then it has, 7 servings per whole container. So that
Okay.
means this box will make 7 half-cup servings of pasta.
And eventually we're going to be doing
Yes.
cooking shows.
Yes.
So we'll go into depth with that. This is kind of a general idea of what we're planning to do. And some of the products is not what different communities use, but we'll buy the products to bring that we've worked on and found out for different communities what they eat, so that we can give you actual serving sizes. So those are things that are coming on in our upcoming shows. What's a general rule for a label? What's the thing that you want to look for, and what it is that you want to avoid?
Sure. Probably, there's just so much because I could get into it all. Probably number one, since we're talking about that sugar content, is looking right underneath into sugar.
Okay.
It's going to be listed under the total carbohydrates, and then sugar will be there. I like to say try to keep that less than 15 grams per serving.
Okay.
So this bottle has 22 grams per 8 ounce. So that means if you drank this whole bottle, which had 2 servings in it, you're getting 44 grams of sugar. And
wow, that's a lot.
that is a lot.
So if I bought that drink, you should drink half of it.
Yes, pretty much.
Because otherwise you'd be drinking double the amounts of sugar you should be having in a day.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
The more
Those are some of the things that made me passionate about doing this show, because I found out that I was taking a lot of sugar and I thought I was eating a healthy diet and drinking healthy drinks. So these are some of the things that concern me. And some of the drinks that I bought like this that say 100% juice confused me and made me feel like I was having a healthy drink. So that's why Lisa is on this show to tell us exactly what we should be taking as drinks and what we should be eating to improve ourselves.
Yes.
The other thing is portion sizes. Everybody is confused about what's really a portion. We'll get into that in depth, but you brought some plates. Could you tell me a little bit about your plate?
I did. I
Okay.
will, absolutely. So I brought 2 different plate sizes here, just based on kind of my what would you call it, experience with people when I've been working with them, is how different the plate sizes they're using can be. So these are both straight from my cupboard.
Good, because we wanted people to see an actual plate, not something they're given in a hospital.
Exactly.
So they can make good decisions at home. This show is about helping you live better at your home and in your personal life.
Exactly.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about this.
So this plate is bigger, as you can see, bigger than my hand.
Yeah.
It's quite large.
Yes.
When we have such a large plate, we're more likely to fill it up.
That is a big problem, isn't it?
And that's tough for overall portion control. And like you said, we can get into more portions later, but a general rule, if you use a smaller plate, you're more likely to eat less. And that's going to
just changing your plate size could make you eat less.
Yep.
Okay.
So I usually say use a rough estimate about the size of your hand is a good way to kind of pick that plate size.
Okay.
Other people will say 9 inches if you wanted to
but
measure
generally
it.
for someone that's not going to count the inches, would this be a salad plate?
Most likely it's a salad plate.
So you should use your salad plate is what you're really saying, not your dinner plate.
Exactly.
Unless you have someone who's very disciplined and can use the portions of a salad plate on a dinner plate, it would be a good idea for some time or forever to use a salad plate as your dinner plate.
Yes.
Okay.
The trouble with most of us, if we do the recommended portions on the regular size plate, is our brain takes over and we feel like we're missing out on things because
the plate looks empty.
It looks empty,
That is
exactly.
So true. That is so true.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go to buffets either. That's another thing we're going to talk about eventually.
Oh boy,
but
yes.
It's a good idea to use your salad plate instead of your dinner plate.
Use a salad plate, yep. And then the way you can kind of create that meal is I usually say fill up half of your plate with veggies, fruits or veggies, I should say.
Yeah.
So if you're having broccoli or cabbage or asparagus, any kind of veggie.
And that's on our next show. We're going to bring a whole bunch of vegetables and fruit to kind of describe for people what they can eat and what kind of vegetables, and maybe even how to cook them.
Oh, great idea.
And make it faster for people, kind of convenience, because time is an issue.
Yes.
So those are some of the things that we're going to discuss in future shows. But half of this plate should be full of vegetables.
Yep. The nice thing about that is they're very low calorie.
Okay.
So we always hear that word calorie being floating
What's a
around.
calorie, Lisa?
A calorie is a way to measure the amount of food, the amount of energy it gives off in your body when it's broken down.
Okay.
And we use those calories in different ways just all day to fuel our muscles, to fuel our brain,
to
our
get
heart,
energy for your
to get
body.
energy. And if we have excess of calories, then we gain weight.
Exactly.
If we have less calories, we lose weight.
So how many calories should a person have in a day, in a 24-hour day? Is it a 24-hour and 8-hour? I mean, the other 8 hours you're sleeping, but
True.
in 8 hours, what's the maximum calories you should be having?
In the whole 24-hour period, the whole day, it depends on the person, their body size, their composition a little bit. But I would say for most people, it's right around that 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day.
Exactly. And if you're using 11 teaspoons of sugar, you've taken away a lot of the calories you should eat.
Exactly.
So you should maybe compensate it with other good things.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. And vegetables are a great way to do that because they're lower calorie and yet they have a lot of fiber in them, so they make you feel really full.
Okay. What's the drink mix that you brought with you?
Oh, yes. That talks a little more about our sugar again.
Yes.
So I brought 2 different drink mixes, and both Crystal Light, and then this is a brand, I think, from Walmart.
Yeah.
Both of these are sugar-free.
Excellent.
So it's a way you can add these to your water and yet not get all that extra sugar we were talking about.
That is really good. And what are the 2 brands you brought with you?
This one is Crystal Light, and this one is the Our Family brand, I think from Walmart.
Okay.
But
So these 2 are sugar-free?
they are.
Okay.
There's
So they
many
would
out
flavor
there.
your water but not give you the sugar that is unnecessary for you to drink your water. Now that you brought up water,
Yes.
Somali people drink tea.
Yeah.
We love tea. So I know a lot of people, when I talk to them about, are you drinking enough water? And it's just a conversation between friends and family. They're like, well, I'm drinking hot tea. I'm not too worried about that. Tell me the difference of whether you should be drinking water, whether you should be drinking tea, and how much of it you should be drinking.
Sure. Tea definitely is in that category of water, so
Okay.
that's good. The biggest thing with tea is how you're drinking that. How much sugar are you adding to it, or honey, or whatever else you might be putting in there, which would not make that the best beverage choice. It'd be
So
more
drinking
similar.
honey in your tea doesn't really mean you're doing a healthier option.
Correct.
We have been fooled. I'm another one who drinks a lot of honey with that one, so I'm, admitting to that. So having honey instead doesn't really mean much. It means you're getting the amount of sugar still.
Yep, you're still getting that sugar.
Okay. So how many, could you tell us a little bit about how much water someone should drink?
Yep. Regularly, someone should drink about 8 cups of water a day. I wish I would have brought something, but...
No, we can do that
Yeah,
on the next show, but
I
it's
know.
8 cups of water a
8
day.
cups of water a day.
So if you're not drinking enough water, it could fool you into thinking you're hungry.
Yes.
So you gain more calories because you're not drinking water.
Yes.
So that's a key trick. If you're drinking enough water, maybe you don't get so hungry.
Yep.
If you keep up your water intake. And you can use those flavors to flavor your
Yes,
water.
you
Because
can
a lot of
use
people
these.
don't like just drinking plain water. So
Yep.
that would be something.
Yep, so they're, like we said, they're sugar-free, and I should mention they're very low-calorie.
Okay.
So when we were looking at this again, we
Yes.
were focused on that sugar in there.
Yes.
In addition to all that sugar, it has about 240 calories in this whole
Oh
bottle.
my goodness.
Now, when we're talking about 2,000 calories a day,
If you drink
there's
that.
240 wasted.
Oh my
If you
goodness.
mix one of these into your water, that makes your water only 5 calories.
Lisa, we need you on this show many, many times over because we have a lot to learn about. The key thing is that reading ingredients on labels, confuses a lot of people, even people that don't, speak English very well.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's a concern. That's something I think for our next show we'll come back to.
That's a great idea.
Again, what is sodium? That's always on every bottle of everything or every package that you buy. What does sodium do and what is it?
Yeah, sodium is another word for salt. So when
Okay.
you think about a salt shaker on the table as well, and we want to watch out, we need some sodium in our diet, but we want to watch out how much we have because higher amounts of sodium can lead to high blood pressure, and that can be very dangerous as well.
And that's a problem even in our community.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know, how pure the salt is here and use a lot more of it. What sort of measurements should people use in their cooking? Even though we're going to do our cooking shows in the upcoming programs, what's a measurement? Let's say if you're having something like a sandwich or, something small, what's a pinch? How do you measure sodium?
Yeah, sodium's one of those tough ones because we usually just throw it right from the salt shaker or take a pinch of it.
Yeah.
There again, most books you read or health organizations will use that teaspoon again.
Okay,
One
so
teaspoon.
you should use those measurements.
Yeah. And overall, like you said, they're also listed on boxes.
Okay.
So this box here for that half of a cup has 0 grams of sodium.
Good. That's a good
That's
thing.
a good thing. You want to
Very
keep
good.
that number low on everything you eat.
Yeah.
So overall, you want less than 2,000 milligrams of that a day, which I even think that's too high because Sodium is in everything we eat. You look at any packaged food you're getting.
They're using it as a preservative, so you have to know what kind of sodium and how much of it is there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you tell us a little bit about, because people tell me, oh, you know, I'm slim, I don't really need to care about my weight. I have to worry about that when I get big, or if I get big, or if I get older. What's your suggestion about who should exercise and who should look after what they're eating and pay attention to those kind of things? Who's a candidate?
Honestly, everyone should be exercising and watching what they eat. I know when you and I have spoken in the past, we say, yeah, we exercise. We like to make sure we're eating this way and that way. And I think it's important for all of us because even though you might not be overweight on the outside, your blood levels of things can be really thrown off. Your cholesterol level can be high, that blood pressure we were talking about, and you can't see those things from the outside.
Exactly. What's cholesterol?
Cholesterol, yes. Cholesterol comes from animal products, so any of your meat you're eating is going to have higher cholesterol in it, and that is very difficult on your heart.
Exactly. And that's a big thing in our community. Again, that's a whole another show. We're going to talk about cholesterol and meat and the kind of meat people should be eating and what portions.
Yes.
Because I think when we were in Africa or people came from other countries, we walked a lot.
Yes.
So we got enough exercise to be able to burn those calories. But now because of a sedentary lifestyle, people are still eating the same amounts of meat and rice and pasta and all those things, but they're not compensating with the exercise that they should.
You're
so those are some things that we'll be coming and talking about. But the cholesterol is something that affects your heart.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is the issue with cholesterol? What does it affect in your heart?
Yes, it actually can clog arteries where your blood flows through your veins and arteries. And cholesterol can build up a plaque on the outside of those arteries, which makes it harder for your heart to pump blood through your body. So your heart is being overworked.
Because of the cholesterol. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an upcoming show. We're going to talk about what cholesterol is and how it affects your heart and how much cholesterol a person should have and what are the good numbers, what are bad numbers. But again, we want to repeat here, please check with your doctor and make sure that you're following your doctor's advice. Anything else that we're advising here is something that's supplemental and just to help you improve your lifestyle. Lisa, could you tell us a little bit about just a general meal plan? Nothing specific, we'll get into it later, but should people skip breakfast like me? I get up in the morning and I have a cup of coffee if I have a meeting or something and I run to it. What do you think about breakfast, for example?
Oh, breakfast is absolutely the most important meal of the day.
See, this is bad. Olivia is here and we're laughing about it because most people don't eat breakfast that I know. So I've really changed in the last year because I keep hearing about breakfast. So is it a must, do you think? Is it something that's very important or is it just kind of so-so? What's your suggestion? What would you recommend?
I recommend that it's a must. You must have breakfast every day within about an hour and a half of when you wake up. So it doesn't have to be right away when you get out of bed. Just sometime within that hour and a half of waking. Doesn't have to be anything very big. Maybe if you want a bowl of oatmeal with some berries in it or a hard-boiled egg or an omelet. It can even be something different too that maybe you had for supper last night and some leftovers. It doesn't have to be anything very
But it's
specific.
a must for people to eat breakfast to help fuel their bodies.
It is a must. It's going to jumpstart.
We're going to get into specifics for every community. We're trying, first of all, we'll start with the Somali community. That's one of the reasons why I had an interest in this show is because everything that you just mentioned for breakfast is pretty much what we don't eat.
I figured.
So I needed Lisa because as I told her that we eat all this different food and we're going to do it in a kitchen. We're getting a kitchen. We're going to make a typical Somali breakfast and then we're going to count how many calories those are. Because we eat injera, which is a flatbread, but we sprinkle sugar on it.
Oh, of course.
And then we have kidney, which is a good thing if it's not cooked with how much oil we're cooking it in.
Oh, sure.
Because we don't really measure the oil. We just go with the oil. So it makes the food flavorful.
Yeah.
But how much cholesterol are we getting?
Sure.
And then we also need to calculate how many portions of it that we're having. And then we have sweet tea with that. Hot sweet tea. So it's really a problem that it's food, but is it the right food? Is it the right portion? So those are some of the things we'll explore in our upcoming shows.
Sure.
It was wonderful to talk to all of you today. This was just an introductory show. We hope you watch us next time, and we'll continue taping, and we want your feedback. Our dietitian is available every Monday and Friday by appointment only. Right now, she's a private person, and so if you have to see her, you have to make arrangements to make an appointment with her. My phone number is going to be at the bottom of this show when we're done editing, and you can reach her. You can reach me to organize how to meet Lisa, either on a Monday or on a Friday based on her schedule. Here's wishing all of you good eating, healthy living. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any last goodbyes to say?
Oh, just good luck, everyone. We hope to hear from you.
And please don't quit. Work hard. We're going to talk about gyms and walking. I mean, we're going to come to other topics where you don't have to pay to join a gym. You could maybe walk outside or do other things. So this isn't a show for just people that can afford to do this. This is really for everyone that's interested in improving your health. Until next time, good night. Thank you.